Hey, welcome to the M2 podcast. My name is Michael Anthony. My co-host is Kyle Heath. This is the show where we basically cover gaming industry related news. We're talking new and upcoming games, esports and personalities, technology innovation, just general gaming industry news topics of the last week. What we like to do at the start of every single episode is do a quick update. So, Kyle, without further ado, what have you been doing, man?
I wish I could say it was gaming, Mike. I'll be honest.
Oh no,
Another hobby has crept back into my life recently. Um, and
what hobby is that?
the hobby of speed cubing.
You're speed cubing instead of gaming? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
the past like week. I look, my roommate. He saw my Rubik's cube collection. Like because he was working like a new job recently, and they had like a Rubik's cube there, and so he was like he didn't know how to solve one, so he's kind of just playing around, and like people around work were like they were trying to solve it, and like no one knew how. And so like he got into like trying to figure out like how to solve it, but like he didn't want to like he kind of just did his own pace. He didn't want to like dive into it head first. And so I was like showing him because like I still remembered how to solve it. Like I learned like back in like middle school, like when I was way young, like how to solve it. Because quick backstory, there was a kid in my class knew how to solve it. I was like, dude, what? And I was like super impressed by it. And so I immediately like bought one, went home, and I dedicated like a week to like figuring out how to solve it. I,
God.
I learned how to solve it, and I was like, and I felt like super like proud of it. And then like on and off, I've like throughout the years, I would just like kind of go back and like, oh, can I still do it? And like I was still able to solve it and everything, but I don't know, like just seeing my roommate today like trying to solve it, and like it just like I was like, it was fun to do that again, but I was like, I want to like actually try and see if I can learn a quicker method because there are quicker ways to do it than what I was doing. So I don't know, it's like it was like a challenge for me this past week, so I've been doing that and kind of just playing around with
That's
it.
pretty cool.
But yeah, so I mean, I got back into it. Um, this is like a fast cube, but it's like kind of the budget end. So I just like bought that and was like, I'm just gonna play around with it. And so yeah, that consumed a lot more of my last week than I was anticipating, but I was doing that. I just
That's cool
messed around
though.
with that. But yeah, I don't know. That took up a lot of my time, but I think I've been meaning to get back into As Dusk Falls, so definitely this week I'm gonna set aside time and actually do it now that I'm settling again. But yeah, dude, just gonna be honest, Mike, that was really my last week, just between that and kind of just chilling and enjoying
That's
the
pretty cool.
fourth and whatnot. So yeah,
I have never finished a Rubik's Cube ever. So it's
yeah.
pretty cool and pretty impressive when I see
I
people
mean,
do it.
it's because the thing about it is like it's not that it's really not hard to do. Like it's just about dedicating a little bit of time to like figuring out kind of the easier way of doing it. But I mean, it doesn't take much time, and it's like one of those things most people like don't dedicate the time to actually learn it. So it's like when you like solve one in front of them, they're like, "What?" Because it's just like it just seems so like impossible. But it's actually not as hard as you think. So I don't know. It's a nice little
That's,
hobby. It's a little like hobby, but it also kind of just like I don't know. It gets me thinking too. So just I don't know. Keeps my brain activated.
that's sick, dude. Did you do anything for the holiday at all?
Um, I'm gonna be honest. No, like most of my friends like have funny enough were like working and stuff. So like I didn't really do much on the day. I think like over the weekend we kind of celebrated a little bit, but yeah, when the day
Nice.
rolled around, I kind of just chilled, just kind of hung out. Didn't really do a whole lot, but saw some fireworks around the neighborhood. But that was about it. Not a
Nice.
whole lot outside of that. What about you though, Mike? Dude, this man's like out here partying, bro.
Basically. uh, I kind of kept it somewhat laid back. I didn't really do anything extensive. Um, Went out to a couple of like new breweries, checked that out with some friends. I got one of my buddies actually came over, first time over at my place in a while. I hadn't seen him in felt like a year or so, man. So it was just good to catch up. Came over, we were playing like N64 Super Smash and having a good time. And there was a bunch of a pool day going on like the last weekend. Pool yesterday and the day before. Just out there chilling, hanging out with the dogs.
Nice, nice.
Um, in terms of gaming though, I mean, I know I just said N64 was one of them. I was playing old school Halo MCC, Halo 3, Halo 2, Halo CE with one of my buddies, just going through matchmaking, having fun there. Also got back on Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, still trying to beat that. I'm running through and I'm still at the same point where I'm like exploring the map, trying to get as many shrines as possible so I can get the Master Sword and then progress through the rest of the story. I already have two Divine Beasts. One of them is partially ready for me to get there and like basically get onto the storm. I forgot which one it is. It's like the elephant out in the storm. No, it's not the elephant. I don't know what it is. It's like one of the machines, the divine beast that's out in the desert
Mm.
that has like lightning coming down. So I got everything to keep myself alive for that fight, and I'm gonna use that as an excuse to like get the shrines first to give myself that like dopamine and reward, and then go completely ham and destroy all the divine beasts, and then go kill Ganondorf or what's it called? Ganon?
Ganon, yeah, I
Darkness?
don't.
I
Yeah,
forgot what it's called. Um, yeah, and then after that, it's trying to get the best horses in the game because they transfer over to Tears of the Kingdom. And
hey,
and I just told you what, like 5 minutes ago before we started recording, I was like, I want to get back into streaming, and I think that will be something I'll do because I got the whole setup, dude. I literally have everything. There's also a play date tonight for old school Halo 3 on the Xbox 360. And if anybody could see my background, I got the Xbox 360 right over there. I'm like, dude, maybe I should plug that in and start streaming again.
old play
Just
date,
throw it
dude.
back.
Be kind of
Yeah,
sick.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's basically what I've been up to the last week. Um, there's been a lot of good games coming out though. Everybody is super hyped over Diablo,
yeah,
Diablo 4, and I already know people that are like grinding to like level 70 already,
yeah.
and the game has
It's
not been out long at
dude, there are
all.
people dedicated. Like, you have to
Dude, it's
understand, dude.
wild, man. Wild. But everything from it, like, it looks amazing. I haven't played it yet. I downloaded another game that I still gotta play, and we actually have a topic on it. I think that's what we're gonna finish with, right?
Think so,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
gonna finish with the topic is BattleBit.
Oh,
So
dude,
yeah, I'm looking
you gotta
forward to
try it
that
out, dude.
article.
It's fun.
And
Try it out.
dude, I gotta try it out. Oh yeah, the last thing I've been doing in terms of gaming is I was watching tons of content on YouTube for City Skylines. I know you're in the DMs and I sent you like the 2 hour long video.
Yeah,
It's like basically a dude's part series of him building a perfect city, and
yeah.
it's just sped up at like 2x speed. All the episodes put together because it's like a 15 chapter or episode
Oh my
series,
god,
and it's
yeah.
just like one single video. And I'm like cleaning the house, trying to do like chores and stuff. And he put like, I think it was copyright free EDM music, or maybe he just put it like, I don't know. It could have been copyright free. I don't know, but it sounded awesome. And I'm
Yeah,
just like listening to that, and I'm like sitting down. I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. I want to play City Skyline now.
yeah.
Uh,
Dude,
yeah.
honestly, that's not a bad idea. Like if I'm cleaning around the house or something, I love finding like ambient content. So like if I'm doing
Oh,
something,
that's
just
ambient content,
throwing something on a screen, that sounds like perfect. Just watching someone like
dude.
build a city while you're doing stuff and getting things done.
It is like right up your alley. It's in the DMs I sent you,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I'll have
just
to
go back,
check it
check
out.
it out. I highly recommend it. Just like if you're doing chores or whatever, you just chilling, throw it on, and then yeah,
Yeah,
it's
dude,
pretty
it's
good vibe.
funny. It's funny. I had an internship in college where I was like working for this really small company, like building websites and stuff. Um, and one of the lead guys there, his office was really, it was pretty sick. But like something I always noticed, like he was a gamer, like he's huge into it. So like every time I'd walk into his office, there would be like a stream bot of like League or like Dota on, and he would just be like
That's
kind of
awesome.
have that on low volume in the background while he was working. I was like, dude, that's pretty sick. Like you just walk in, he's like just watching that kind of. Well, not really watching it, but like he's just working and he has like something on in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. So I don't know. Something like that sounds like perfect though. Like if I'm working on something, just like throw it
Oh
on low
yeah, dude.
volume and just get some work done. Be like
Yeah,
perfect.
when I'm working like remote and stuff like that, it actually helps me. Like sometimes even in the office, it like helps me having some type of ambiance, like a background noise or like something going on in the background that I can
Yeah.
just like for a split second be like, okay, what was I doing? And then like look at that, it's just like kind of chill for a minute. It's kind of like having a smoke break back in the day when everybody was smoking.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like let me
Yeah.
just like chill out for a little bit. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm good now. And then just crush it back to work. You know.
Yeah. Sure. Dude, Mike, I mean, I just have to say, dude, it's been almost 2 months since you got Tears of the Kingdom, and you gotta hurry up on the Zelda, dude. You gotta hurry up on
Every
Breath of the
day,
Wild,
dude.
dude. This
Look at
man's
it.
gotta stare at him. Look at this.
Every day. It's just chilling here, up high on the couch, like up on the
Uh,
little TV thing. Honestly, like,
it's not just any regular edition either, you know?
dude, my buddy was telling me too. He's like, "Yo, you need to have this like in your background. It'd be a pretty good addition to like all the other crap I got back here.
Yeah.
This is like the
True.
stream wall, like the content wall."
Yeah. Very
Um,
true.
My favorite thing there though is Cora.
Oh
That's
yeah,
sick.
true, dude. I just love the sword. That's it.
Yeah,
The sword. When you get something like that on my shelf, sick.
do it, man. You got sick lights though. But enough about games, right? We actually have to talk about business here. We have to talk
Business,
about
yeah, maybe.
Microsoft
Yeah.
and their continual war against PlayStation for whatever reason.
Continual, continual's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we start off the news this week with an article from The Verge. None other than Tom Warren. Who else do you think? It's The Verge. Who else? Um, Microsoft seems to think that we're getting a PS5 Slim this year. Okay, okay, Microsoft. All right, court's got them thinking some stuff. Um, Microsoft also thinks that the handheld PlayStation will be under 300 when it launches later this year. And I think we even saw it was like, wasn't it 300? It was like the rumored price.
Uh, the rumored price was a range. It was
No.
between 250 and 300. And
See.
I think I said it was going to be about 300 because I was basing it off of the cost of the Elite controller.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, it's probably accurate. So, anyways, Microsoft thinks we're getting a PS5 Slim model later this year that might be priced at $399. The software giant is currently awaiting a ruling in the FTC versus Microsoft hearing as a part of the case. Microsoft has filed documents which reveal it thinks a PS5 Slim is on the way later this year. Microsoft says PlayStation likewise sells a less expensive digital edition for $400 and is expected to release a PS5 Slim later this year at the same reduced price point. Insider Gaming reported last year that Sony was preparing for a PS5 with a detachable disc drive for September of 2023. Console is rumored to be sold on its own without the disc drive or in a bundle, which suggests Sony could be considering making a slimmer version of the PS5 the default. This would allow people to pick with or without a bundle drive, with the option to add a drive later on if needed. Currently, you have to either buy the $400 PS5 digital edition or the $500 PS5 with a disc drive, but there's no option to connect an optical drive at a later date. Microsoft's prediction also has a footnote that says Sony is also anticipating to release its handheld version of the PS5 later this year for under $300, which isn't fully accurate. According to this, Sony is planning a handheld device later this year that can run PS5 games by streaming them over Wi-Fi with the PS5 console. Microsoft doesn't cite any third-party sources for the PS5 Slim timing or pricing in its findings of fact and conclusion of the law document. If Microsoft's knowledge of Sony's planned PS5 hardware or planned PlayStation hardware is accurate, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen secret spill with the FTC Microsoft hearing, and that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? There's been a lot of stuff leaking out of these hearings. This is of course they talk about, which we covered on the show was the all the leaks that happened because someone tried to use a Sharpie to redact the documents and not properly redact
So
them.
embarrassing.
Don't
Dude.
know if it's Sony's fault or someone in the courts, but yeah, that was in fact a thing. I don't know, Mike, what do you think about this? Do you think there's kind of two parts to this. Do you think at some point Sony was going to try and release a reduced priced PS5 at some point? And two,
Yeah.
did you ever think they were going to try and do like a modular disk drive to that? Because I think it's an interesting idea that like we haven't played with before in consoles.
Yeah, that's a good point. We haven't really played with that before. I wouldn't ever guess that. I think that's kind of uncommon, and that'd probably be a first from what I can think of. In terms of like a reduced price on the next PlayStation, yeah, I feel like that's pretty standard now with all technology. They usually have like an A, B, and C package. C being like the lower tier, or maybe I should say like high, middle, and low tier would be the easiest way to explain it. It's like the high tier, all the bells and whistles, like everything that it comes with, like Gen 1 kind of stuff is usually the most expensive, and then it like slowly goes down because they're trying to get more and more people in like the PlayStation ecosystem. But I think the one thing about this that we're not really talking about is how it's Microsoft that is doing the speculation. And this is coming on the heels of Sony basically saying they don't want to have any type of Activision Blizzard FTC like agreement go through where Activision Blizzard gets bought by Microsoft and then Xbox will then know like what games are going to be coming out for the next like PlayStation and
Yeah.
What they say it was is like their dev kits and stuff for
Yeah, they
PlayStation. They're
yeah, I mean, they were saying they don't want the dev kits to go out because then Microsoft would have insight into what Sony's next console is going to be, and they feel
yes,
like they could use that against them in the market, which is
exactly, and
interesting.
we covered that last week. And this week, it's Microsoft is like, well, they're probably going to come out with the PS5 Slim, and they're also going to come out with like a modular disc for the next Sony PlayStation. And I think that might have a lot to do with sending a message to Sony, like, oh, well, you think we're worried about like what you're coming out with? Well, here's what we know you're coming out with, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like because they're saying it's a
Yeah.
rumor, right? Because it's not officially announced by Sony, and they can always change it, right? But it's like they might know something.
They
I would
might.
imagine Sony as a company uses Microsoft products on business operations.
Yo,
Microsoft could just be
dude,
like, yeah,
dude, yeah,
you know what I mean?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they probably have
Yes,
they have Office 365 decked out on their PCs. Probably that's kind of crazy.
easily, dude.
That's
Do
kind
you
of
think
crazy.
Sony's using? Like, what's the alternative? Apple,
It's a good question. What
Linux.
is the alternative to Microsoft Office? I don't even
So
know.
yeah, I think this is kind of like it feels kind of political, doesn't it? Like Microsoft just coming out and they're like, we know already. Like here's what it is. And this is what we think is gonna happen. Think,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
air quotes, think, because if we
yeah,
say this is what we know, we'll get sued into oblivion kind of
yeah.
thing. Um
Yep.
I think we should keep an eye out for this storyline and see how Jim Ryan responds. Because he was the last one to say, like, we don't want them to see proprietary information.
Yeah.
Microsoft over here basically saying, "Oh, you're gonna have a slim model coming out. Here's what it might be priced at."
Yeah, it's
Like,
like two things really. It's one, like I will admit, I didn't think about Microsoft could potentially know what Sony's next hardware will be if they owned a huge chunk of the market in terms of gaming, which they're
yeah,
gonna buy up with Activision. I mean, it's a good point. I mean, the only thing is, I'm not sure how much of like an advantage it would be for them to know, for like Microsoft to know that hardware. I mean, like I'm trying to think about like how they can maybe like counterplay against it, but it's kind of like, when it comes to, hardware and, like CPUs and graphics cards and stuff like that you're using the consoles, I feel like it's not like it's I feel like it'd be too long for them to try and like, kind of like, try to take advantage of that and maybe release something more powerful, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought. I think ultimately, though, like the PS5, I mean, it could use a slim version. You see how big the thing is. Like, I mean, the PS5
yeah,
is huge. So,
it's a monster.
I certainly think it would benefit from a slimmer version. And I mean, that's what PlayStation's done in the past, right? I mean, you have the PS4, it's this big giant brick, and then they release a PS4 Slim, and it's much smaller. They like find how they can cut corners, and I mean, yeah, same with the Xbox. Like even the Xbox 360. Remember when that launched? It was pretty big, and then
That
they,
3 different versions, I think,
yeah, I know. It's like
3 or
there was
4.
many iterations, and I mean, it's definitely more and more commonplace for these consoles. And I think it makes sense, once you realize that, oh yeah, there's like this is the kind of the prototype design, but yeah, we can definitely like work upon this and make it better. Um, and I like the idea of like a disk drive, like the ability to put a disk drive in. I think it's pretty cool. I'll be curious to see how much they charge for a disk drive, though. I have a feeling it's probably gonna be like $100 for an optical drive, even though
Yeah,
like
which is
dispose,
crazy.
yeah, like which is
Optical
wild. But I
drive's
mean,
like
that's
$50.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like Sony, but yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see. But I mean, I'm certainly excited. I think like a PS5 Slim would be like, especially like maybe a year down the line, it'd be like that's probably like okay, like maybe I'll consider like grabbing a PS5 now, especially if there's like a slim version or a
Yeah.
cheaper version. Certainly. So, and then we're getting to that territory. So now it's like we're at the point in the life cycle where I'm like waiting for their next kind of iteration on it, and then I'll probably consider kind of thing. So yeah, it'll be hopefully it lands at a good time.
You know what I wish? I wish Nintendo was actually the ones coming out with more, like, console versions, whereas,
It's a
like,
good
the
point. Yeah,
Switch only got an OLED upgrade, and that was
yeah,
it,
like a
really.
display upgrade, and not really
Yeah, it's
much
like,
else. Yeah,
come on, man, I wanted, like, a beast.
yeah, because everyone wants a 4K
4K.
Switch. Like so everyone's like, "Yo, I
Exactly.
want a 4K Switch," which I do would be sick. I mean, playing Mario in 4K, dog. Come on. The
Yeah.
amount of pixels, Mike. You understand the new Super Mario World like thing. I was saying Super Mario World, but I don't know what their new side scroller. I forget what they called it, but they announced it at the
Uh,
direct recently.
yeah, it looked amazing.
Yeah, it looks
They're going
amazing.
back to the roots.
Imagine that in 4K, Mike.
That would be pretty sick, but, before we get too sidetracked over to Nintendo products, this Sony Q, the handheld, I wonder what resolution that's actually going to be. Because if that's 4K, I mean, that's kind of interesting how they would make that work. I doubt it, right?
Yeah, I doubt it. I don't think it's gonna be
Yeah,
4K.
4K over Wi-Fi. Ugh.
No,
All right.
it'll be 1080p more than likely.
Yeah, you're
And
probably right.
if it's under
30 frames
1080p,
per
I'd be like,
second.
like, that's kind of sus. But um, I'm
Fair
thinking
point.
1080p.
Yeah, September we start finding out more of this detachable hard drive and not hard drive disk
Yeah,
and the Slim. Probably in the next few months, man.
who knows, dude? You know what's during September? Gamescom. I'm just saying.
That's a
End of the
fact.
summer. Kind of sick. Xbox and Bethesda already said they're going to be at Gamescom, so Sony's got a bang
Yo,
bang fire back.
let's
Kind of
go.
crazy, dude. You know who else is firing back on Mike? Oh,
Oh, I'm actually pretty excited about this next
baby.
article.
I am too.
It's by Ubisoft. Okay, well, technically it's from The Verge, and it's our boy Tom Warren. I almost said Tom Ryan. Confusing
Jim
Tim
Ryan.
Ryan with all these Ryans, dude. All right, so Ubisoft. Okay, so Ubisoft sees major reduction in Rainbow Six Siege cheaters thanks to Zim detection. Remember, we covered this like 2 months ago, 2 or 3
Yeah.
months ago.
Oh yeah.
Basically, what it is for people, like the quick way to say it is there is something called a Cronus Zen and a Zim, which is basically an external device that you use to spoof your inputs, whether it's a mouse and keyboard, a controller, or whatever, to give you aim assist, wall hacks. I don't even know what else. Like anything you could just know that's like it's used to cheat. And for the longest time, it's been nearly impossible to figure out who was cheating, who was spoofing, all this other stuff. And basically, MouseTrap came out. What well, I mean, I think the article is going to actually show it.
Yeah.
A couple
Probably.
of earlier this year, probably like 4 or 5 months ago, and Ubisoft and who Activision Blizzard were both like, "Yeah, we know who's cheating now,"
Yeah.
and
But yeah,
they
companies
started
are.
doing the pranks. Like,
I know. Yeah.
oh, Activision Blizzard started doing pranks. So if you were using this cheat, you would like disarm yourself and like throw a
Yeah,
grenade at
they
your
would
feet and
take
you
your gun
die.
away.
Oh yeah, they take your gun away. It was so good. All right, so let's get into this. So the mousetrap system has led to more than 70% of spoofers giving up using third-party cheat devices. So Ubisoft's mousetrap system for detecting cheaters in Rainbow Six Siege is already seeing results. Cheaters use devices like Zim to spoof controller inputs, and mousetrap has now caused a major reduction of more than 70% in the amount of mouse and keyboard users on console. That's not really the console ones that I'm worried about. It's the PC players that I'm really
Yeah.
worried about. Okay, so the team behind Mousetrap has provided an update on the progress of detection system nearly 3 months after it was first added to Rainbow Six Siege earlier this year. There's been 78% reduction in the total spoofers detected in Rainbow Six Siege. And if we look at ranked on its own, the reduction is similar 73% fewer spoofers than before. Dude, keep in mind, we just covered how the Cycle Frontier and Rogue Company lost a ton of players due to cheaters.
Yeah.
So this is the fix, dude. This is what most cheaters have been using. Um, so Ubisoft has predicted a reduction of between 30 to 50%, 30 and 50%. So, in quotes, the data we've gathered has surpassed these expectations and has shown a major reduction in the amount of mouse and keyboard users on consoles. This means that a majority of cheaters have simply turned off devices like Zim, Cronus Zen, and Ray Snow S1, which are often used in online competitive shooters to allow mouse and keyboard users to get benefits of aim assist from a controller mixed with the benefits of movement from mouse and keyboard. Ubisoft has been messing with cheaters that use these third party devices by applying extra latency to disrupt their aim and movement. This degraded experience has clearly forced many to simply stop using the devices as a result. It hasn't been all easy going for the Mousetrap team, though. And Ubisoft admits that there was an exploit that it patched in late June that allowed people to avoid the mousetrap penalties. It's a constant cat and mouse game against the developers of third party cheating hardware, so it's reasonable to assume that there will be other workarounds and exploits coming in the future. And in quotes from the Mousetrap team, we will continue to monitor, update, and tune the system and penalties for future seasons so that the console players can be confident that their opponents do not have an unfair advantage. You know, one thing that they're not mentioning, because it's not just mouse and keyboard players playing on console, because that in itself is a buggy fueled mess. To be honest, it's pretty delayed, especially on the Xbox. I don't know how bad it is on the PlayStation, but these devices, like I said, they have scripts in them. So what people do is they'll go to like the websites, they'll find the scripts, they'll find like basically a script is the program itself aiming for you. And you can set preferences for whatever game that you're playing. So they're not mentioning that there. It seems like they're only really concentrating on the mouse and keyboard going towards the console players and stuff. Mouse and keyboard players playing on console using this device. But I think it's doing a lot for like the PC side of things, you know?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, so there's a nice little graph too in the article, where they show the MouseTrap release, which was, actually early April was when they released it. Um, it sits at, I mean, there's a significant
Holy
drop
crap, it's a cliff.
just in the first 2 weeks. I mean, a significant drop after they released it, so it works. Um, and then yeah, there's again they were discussing, there's a little bit they did have to release a patch in June because there was an exploit around it. They're gonna have to continue to fight against that, but I mean, I'm just impressed how quick of a drop it was because they released it. I mean, this thing worked, like
Yeah.
um, and so 73% reduction of spoofers and ranked, which is awesome. Yeah, I think it's certainly a good step in the right direction. I think there's still more work to be done, but and I think to your point too, it's like yeah, it's cool that like mouse and keyboard usage is down on console, but it's also like, is there a way that they can detect its use on PC? And if so, like how can you reduce that? Because that's another area. It's a good point you
They
raise.
must be able to use it,
Yeah.
like, to figure it out, because it's not just, like, mouse and keyboard players taking advantage of the aim assist. When the scripts are aiming for you, you can plug in your controller too. So you'll see a lot of that as well. And it's just,
Yeah.
like, so unfair because it puts you at such a huge advantage. Like, a mouse and keyboard is already at a huge advantage when it comes to, like, mobility, not mobility, aiming, but then when you give it aim assist, it's like you're a demigod. Like, you're never missing. And if you
Yeah.
do miss, you're real bad.
It really shows.
Like,
Yeah.
imagine giving Shroud or any, like, CS:GO player, pro player, Valorant pro player, like, aim assist on their mouse.
Yeah. It's kind of game over,
GG's,
right?
dude. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yeah, and they also mentioned in the article too, like Epic Games was issuing permabans starting last year for
Mhm.
current end users, and like Bungie updated their terms now. So if they can detect you're using a tool to like spoof, try and get advantage over other players, you're out of there. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Overwatch, like all these games and stuff are, I think, starting to combat it to a certain extent. Um,
Yeah. I think when it comes to cheating in games, especially games that have, like, money tournaments online, which is so stupid in my opinion, but if you
yeah,
do have money tournaments online and people are cheating and you find out, it's like, I think that should be a hardware ban. Like, ban
something, dude.
everything associated with the account. If it's, something like Epic Games, which has multiple, like, main IPs, ban them from all the IPs.
I feel like that's like
Like, it
I feel like it's the only
and
way you really could like effectively do it. It's just say like your account is just tanked, like you're done.
just nuked.
Like yeah,
Just
just nuke
nuked.
the whole account. Um,
Yeah, I mean, in order to do, like, a hardware ban, you have to be pretty invasive. Like, you have to, like, I don't even know, like, figure out the net coding of what the motherboard and, like, the CPU and all that kinda stuff. I don't even know how that would work. I know they can do it on consoles fairly easily, but that's something entirely different because the console is, like, something that the publishers or the studios have actually made, manufacturers, I guess. Um, but
yeah,
something has to be done about cheating, and it's just good to see that there is some progress being made, you know?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think MouseTrap is a a step in the right direction. Like I was saying, I think yeah, like
Yeah.
combating hardware cheating is just as important as like software cheating. So, um, and the fact
Slow
that
and
it's
steady.
it's definitely harder to detect. So the fact that we're able to detect it now, oh baby, it's about to get crazy on these games.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of
You know what's gonna
detecting
happen with the
hardware,
hardware, though?
bro. Yes,
Woo, let's go.
sir. All right,
We're getting good at this, I think.
here we are. All right. So this is,
Next article.
dude, this is next article. This is a very interesting topic, I think, though, because I was very concerned about the adoption rate of the 40 series, especially after we saw like size of everything on these new Nvidia cards.
Yeah,
But I think,
physically too.
yeah, I mean, I think some of my speculations are turning out to be true. So, Nvidia's RTX 40 series cards haven't yet gained traction with gamers on Steam. I actually pulled this article from PC Gamer. Since Windows 10 isn't going anywhere either. Yeah, there's probably a lot of people using Windows 10 still. I have myself have
100%.
upgraded, but it's just me.
I am not.
Oh man. So Steam's latest hardware survey has been released. The key trends for June 2023 show that Nvidia's RTX 40 series is struggling to gain market share, while Windows 10 remains the most popular OS, popular gaming OS by far. So let's begin with the video card results. The mid-range 50 and 60 cards continue to dominate the list, with the 1650 being the most popular with a 5.50% share, followed by the 3060 at 4.50. And the previous list topper, the 1060 at 4.45. That's kind of crazy, dude. People still using the 1060s and getting some mileage out of them. Pretty nuts. In fact, you have to go down a further 6 spots before you encounter a 3070, which is pretty interesting. Majority of gamers simply cannot and will not spend big dollars on high-end graphics cards. Rightfully so, I don't blame people. AMD's first entry as well is well down the list, and it's integrated graphics. AMD's highest ranked discrete GPU is a vulnerable RX 580, which is 1% of the overall market share. What's interesting is how Nvidia's 40 series has so far failed to make much of an impression. The mobile RTX 4060 coming in the 29th spot, and the RTX 4070 Ti coming in at the 35th spot. And the 4070 Ti is like, that's kind of, I feel like that's the card where it's like people like, if you're gonna go for 40 series, that's the one to go for, right? Because it's like the kind of a cheaper option, and it's it's
and you
insane.
get pretty good performance.
Yeah. Admittedly, the 40 series as a whole has been available for a fraction of the time its predecessors have been. And the 4060 Ti and the 4060 will definitely climb up the list over the next couple of years. But looking at these results, it's hard to see how Nvidia could be too thrilled with the RTX 40 series uptake. Does it really care? Does it really care when it's making billions from AI hardware, though? That's a good point,
No,
Nvidia is a
no, it doesn't.
AI leader out here, so yeah, probably doesn't affect their margins too much. CPU results haven't changed much in recent times. Intel maintains a roughly 2-to-1 advantage among Windows users. Interestingly, AMD chips are popular amongst Linux gamers, where that 2-to-1 advantage flips in favor of AMD. That's a Steam Deck. That's the Steam Deck effect for you in a nutshell. Steam Deck. Yeah, makes sense. It says what really surprised the writer of this article. I didn't even credit this man, Chris. I don't know that last name. I'm gonna be honest, Chris. I love you, Chris, but I don't know what that last name is, dude. Mike, I don't know if you want to try it, but exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
I'm not gonna butcher it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. What really surprised Chris
from PC Gamer.
Yeah. What really surprised me as well is the slow uptake in Windows 11. It has a market share of 35.75% compared to Windows 10's 59.43%. Some of that could be due to it being the OS that happens to be older gaming systems, but Windows 11 hasn't provided an entirely smooth ride for gamers, whether it's deep system requirements or a bug that affected Windows 11 at 22H2, which I don't even know about that update. But I will say, Windows 11, I could not actually install it on my old hardware because it was out of date. So I'm sure that's probably the same for a lot of people. So unless you're upgrading, it's like, yeah, you're kind of stuck with Windows 10. Which isn't a bad thing. Windows 10, great OS. But yeah, Microsoft will continue to support Windows 10 for over 2 more years. So many users aren't in a rush to upgrade, rightfully so. It's worth noting that the Steam hardware survey is better seen as a rough idea of market share than an ultimate marker of it. When it comes to monitor resolution, I love this one. This is like, okay, I don't feel so bad I haven't upgraded yet. 1080p remains the most popular resolution by far at 62%. I'm still a 1080p gamer, Mike. I haven't upgraded yet. Yeah. I'll admit it.
I know most people that can actually do 4K, and they're just like, nah, 1080p. Yeah. Even the 1440p they can do fine, but they're just something about. I guess it's because I play with mostly like shooters. And most of my friends do too, and it's all about the frames per second. It's not about the resolution quality.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It may, yeah, if I wanted to, I could probably do 4K, but I just have no desire to like get to that yet. I don't know. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though it is slowly but surely losing a bit of this share to high resolutions, including ultra wide resolutions. Um, every reported resolution above 1080p saw a uptick in adoption. In June 2023, the most common gaming system comes with a 6-core CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, a GTX 1650, and Windows 10. As long as GPUs don't offer major performance leaps at prices similar to prior 50 cards, it's hard to see this changing anytime soon. I agree with you, Chris, at PC Gamer.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting article for sure. I like this type of data like fascinates me, and so like when I see like stuff like this where it talks about like, hey, we just took a survey of a bunch of PC gamers and kind of here's what we found. Um, yeah, it makes me kind of think. I think like for me the resolution was kind of a big thing of just like I'm just seeing 1080p. It's like, oh, I'm still on 1080p. Like, am I behind? And I'm like clearly not, because there's still a lot of us that are just like we're cool with 1080. We don't want to really go any higher. So I think that makes sense. But yeah, I mean the 40 series. I mean, again, it's still kind of early on in the 40 series life cycle, so
It is.
I can see
Yeah,
why
it's
it's
really
maybe
new.
lower. But yeah, the adoption hasn't been like crazy. It's not one of those things where, and I kind of expected this. Like, it's not a thing where people are rushing out to get a 40 series card, especially if they have like a 20 or 30 series. So, yeah, there's no real reason I feel like unless you're trying to do insane. Because like I feel like next series is probably gonna like next series or the series after that, it's probably going to be 5,000-6,000 series is going to be like 8K, right? Like that's ideally what you're
It
going for. So
Yeah, it's gonna be ridiculous, but the price is also gonna be ridiculous, and so will the size.
yeah,
Like a lot of people, a lot. I think one of the major contributions to why people aren't adopting the 40 series quite yet is just when you upgrade that series card, you probably need a new PSU. You
yeah.
probably need like because it just demands so much more power. You probably need a new case. At that point, how much money are you really spending? Like $500, excluding the uh the actual
Yeah,
card itself. And then by then it's like, man, why don't I just like save up another grand or so, and overall economy too. We can get into that about how people might not have that type of money just laying around. Um, but if they do, hypothetically, it's like, why wouldn't you just want to wait a little bit longer? Maybe the new cards come out, things get cheaper, things make more sense from like an energy standpoint and
right. Yeah,
space standpoint.
yeah.
So
It's
I
true.
I know the car would be tight in my like my tower, and it's a full ATX. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a full AT. Yeah,
You've
mine's
seen it.
yeah,
It's a
mine. Yeah,
monster.
I mean, yeah, mine's a mid tower, but yeah, I definitely couldn't fit it. But it's yeah, I mean, I agree. I completely agree though. Until they figure out like the heat issue, like they gotta.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta get the coolers down because that's the thing is like the PCB isn't much bigger from a 30 series. It's just it requires a
No.
lot more like heat spread because it's just it thing
That
pumps out heat. So um,
yeah.
yeah, here's to hoping they can get that figured out in this series or like next. So we can. I mean, probably not this series because card's already out, but like hopefully by 50 series they find a way to kind of, you know, figure out the heat stuff because yeah, it's I mean, it's and I mean the amount of transistors they add on these boards, it's just going to get worse and worse. So they really have
Yeah.
to find a way to keep up with the amount of processing power these things are going to output, um, in relation to heat, which yeah, it's certainly a difficult task. That's why I'm not an engineer, Mike. I don't I don't make these things. 'Cause that's so yeah, I don't have the brain power, dude. That's no other way to say it. So um,
Well, something else to think about is because this is a survey, and at the end of the article, and I'll repeat what you said, the most common gaming system comes with a 6-core CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a GTX 1650 with Windows 10. I think that's a very important profile for any game developer, because that's like in terms of minimum requirements, I think you need to at least be at that point in order to like sell games. Because one of the first things, I have a really good PC right now. It's dated by a couple of years, but it's still really good.
yeah,
And I know this, but the first thing I do when I see a game that I find interesting is like, okay, well, what's the minimum requirements? Like, what are the settings that I have to be on in order to get over 100 frames per second? Because if I don't get over 100 frames per second, my next option is like, does it come out on the Xbox Series X?
yeah,
Because if it
yeah,
does, it's like that makes more sense, you know?
right, yeah, yeah. It's a good point. Um, I think, and And who knows? I mean, data like this, I'm sure, and I'm sure developers kind of look into this stuff extensively,
Oh
or at least
yeah,
they have someone on their team that's like doing a bunch of R&D on this stuff. Because
they
yeah,
better.
I mean, yeah, you got certain benchmarks to hit, right? And you have certain things you have to think about the most common situation for gamers, and then kind of work from there. Of like, what can we swing this game on, like minimum,
Yes,
and then what,
yeah,
because obviously,
and
like,
that's
you have plenty of headway in terms of how like insane you can make graphics and stuff, but yeah, you have to get the baseline right. So that's like
yeah,
most important.
and that's like even before they get to the point of optimizing their game, you know, because some games they're just like poorly optimized and they run like trash no matter what like hardware it's set up on.
Yeah,
And
it's
then other
true, dude.
games can run on a toaster and be perfect and look amazing.
Yeah,
It just depends.
yeah.
Depends on a lot of factors.
This
But it
thing,
is
dude.
pretty cool to see this information. I
Yeah,
find it pretty interesting.
yeah. I mean, I think if you take anything away from this article, it's at the end of the day, if you're gonna make a game, dude, make BattleBit. I mean, come on, dude, make a polysim that's like really low res and can run on anything, because that's a guaranteed hit, assuming they get all the other stuff sorted.
Hey man, that's exactly what I said last week. I was just like, developers need to realize it's not about how it looks, it's about how it plays. And
Yeah,
if like there are people that will still go back and play Spyro because it's like or Mega Man because it's like it's a good story overall and it's really fun to play.
yeah,
It's like just be fun to play. That's why like indie games are popping off left and right now
yeah.
because they're fun to play.
It's true, dude.
And also some of them look amazing. Just saying.
It's very true, dude. There's a lot of stuff out there, man. It's crazy the type of games people can make on such low budgets. These can be creative
100%.
sometimes, you know? All it takes.
Creative, have a vision, and just concentrate, focus, have a plan, get it done.
Focus. Understand?
All the motivational stuff that you hear on a day to day.
It's very true, dude.
Positive
Especially,
affirmations. All right, how
there's,
about we get
yeah.
into one of your games? Is this not? I believe this
Yeah, I
is.
mean, well, I don't know. I'll be honest. You know what? I'll be fully transparent. Haven't played Terraria, to be honest.
Oh,
I've
really?
seen
Okay.
gameplay. I've seen gameplay, tons of it. Never played
Super
though.
popular.
Yeah. Yeah, very
All right,
popular.
let's get into it then. So, Terraria. This is from PC Gamer, and this is Ted Litchfield, published earlier this week. So, Terraria's devs have been trying to stop developing Terraria for years, but they just can't quit. Oh, I accidentally hit a button. All right, we're back. Uh, the long-running survival sandbox Myriad final updates have become a bit of a running joke in the community. It really has, because every time they put out an update, they're just like, "This is going to be our final update. This is our final update. By the way, this is our
Yeah.
final update."
Yeah.
Like that kind of
Okay,
thing.
this is it. Huh.
Yeah, this is gonna be the last one, I promise. All right, so anyway, Terraria is gearing up for its 1.4.5 patch, the latest major patch in 12 years of continued support from developer Relogic. If you're thinking to yourself, wait, I thought this game got its final update already, you would be right. Relogic has been considering moving on to its next project for around 8 years now.
Dude. Uh,
I love it, dude. All right. So prior to leaving Twitter in favor of communicating with the Terraria forums, Relogic head Andrew Redigit Spinks recently told fans on the platform that the game continues to sell too well for them to quit updating it. After 12 years, the game still sells like hotcakes. Spinks tweeted, "There's so much demand, it makes it hard to move on. Don't you love it when he just wants to keep delivering the
dude,
content, dude?"
the passion, Mike. Do you hear it?
Bro, I know
Gosh,
people that still go back and play old school RuneScape, dog,
I'm
because it goes back
saying
to the point. If it's fun, people come back.
it
Just
is
be fun.
facts, bro. Straight
All right.
facts.
let's go even further. He continues. Really, 1.3 was the first intended final update. So, Relogic head of business strategy and marketing Ted Loki, gotta love the god,
Loki.
uh, Murphy, told me when I asked for more context referencing in 2015 patch that revamped NPCs and added achievements, expert mode, and over 800 new items. That's a big update.
Yeah.
But then we all had all these cool ideas, unfinished business, so to speak. 5 years later, 2020's Journey's End update was another chance to quit Terraria. It started as a minor update, according to Murphy, but generated great thinking and grew into a major one, introducing 40 plain text pages of notes worth of changes, including new modes, bosses, bestiary, I think. Yeah, bestiary, and of course, the ancient game of golf.
Dude,
Of course.
40 plain text pages of just patch notes, dude.
That's
That's so,
insane.
oh, it's almost
All
so
right.
wild.
And Relogic didn't quit there. Journey's End was itself followed up with a series of minor updates, introducing things that were right on the cutting room floor of the patch proper. Jesus. Murphy described 2022's Labor of Love update as a truly fan driven, a response to Terraria winning the annual Steam Award of the same name in 2021. We felt a calling to give another update to the fans, Murphy said. We took so many suggestions and inspirations for those very fans during the update. We don't take the award or the people behind it lightly. Dude, why can't all devs be like this, bro?
the
Come
heart,
on,
the
man.
heart, the heart, dude.
He's doing it for the love of the fans, bro.
Dude, this is a labor
And
of love. This is
he
my love
named the
letter.
he named it Labor of Love update.
Literally,
Come on,
dude.
bro.
It's in the name.
Come on, bro. 343 would never. All right. So while the upcoming 1.4.5 patch started primary focusing on Terraria's crossover with Dead Cells, the roguelike Metro Divania? Yeah, Metroidvania.
Metroidvania. Yeah.
Metroidvania. Okay, we found it, boys. All right. Murphy says that unfinished business lured the team at Relogic into once again going all in on something more substantial. Despite Relogic's commitment to Terraria and the seemingly inexorable Exor? Oh, jeez, I gotta read more, brother. Creep on new updates. However, Murphy thinks that the game is feeling very full and complete to Relogic at this point, even with Terraria's continued sales, success, and vibrant fan community. At some point, it feels right to start work on a second project.
Oh man.
Sheesh.
Insert the John Cena. Are you sure about that? Because like my
That's a
goodness,
fact, dude.
dude, this is it's crazy. Look, wonderful problem to have if you're a developer, right? It's kind of like you wanna quit on the game, but it's just like there's some like it's one of those things when you really when you really love something, it's just like is it done? Or like when you're working on a project, it's like and you have all the time in the world, it's like okay, is it really done? And like you sit around and think about it, it's like no, there's more we can do, so let's keep doing more. And you like the fact that they're going on like the third iteration of that, it's like this is it's something too because many developers don't have that luxury of time, right? Where
Oh,
it's like you can just sit down and think of every idea and just work it out. So I mean, I say kudos to kudos to Relogic because like they have a they're in a very fortunate position to just kind of keep going on this game. They don't have to give it up just yet. So I mean, look, yeah,
oh
it's
yeah,
it's
dude.
crazy, man. It's we don't hear stories like this, Mike, like ever in the gaming industry, you know.
And no, it's so uncommon. I think it's so cool that they just like they want to work on a second project and they're just like, yeah, I think we're going to keep working on like the second project. We got a couple ideas in the works. And then they come back and they're like, yeah, well, fans want a little bit more update from us for Terraria, so we'll go back and do that. And then they just start probably reading through the forums on the Discords, wherever the community is at. They're
Yeah.
just like, yo, that's actually a good idea. We should add that. And they're like, oh, we should add that. We should. And then it just keeps going and going and going and going. The next thing you know, you have 40 page of blank, well, plain text, like it's notepad, never ending. Could you
Yeah, I
imagine?
mean, it's
Holy
crazy,
Christ.
man. I mean, you said I
It's so cool.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you read the next part about the 1.4.5 update, but it's like you're still going, dude. It's like it's crazy,
They
man.
yeah, they're hopefully entering the final stretch.
It's like
Meanwhile, it's far
hopefully.
from clear we'll truly see the last big add-on on the long-running sandbox. And then Murphy finishes off by saying, "We felt that way before, so we do never say never." When will Terraria's final update truly happen? I don't even think we can say that with certainty. So it's like they're not done.
It's like
It
they're not
doesn't feel like it.
just yeah. It's like they're not truly done, man. Yeah, it's
It's
just
cool
insane.
though.
It's like it'd be could Terraria be the ultimate game in the next decade if they just kept working on it, you know? It's like
I don't see
oh
why
man.
not. I
Yeah.
really don't.
True, man. I don't know. Again, I'm happy for them because I think it's they're in an interesting position. So, and I don't know, Mike, I may have to try out Terraria. I probably ended up getting it on like a free, thing somewhere, and I just haven't played it yet. I don't know. I need to check my library, see if I got it from like Humble or something.
Check on mobile, man. It's on
Yeah.
the Droid.
True. I don't know, man. It's yeah. I don't know. This was an interesting story though. So I think it was a nice little heartfelt thing. You don't see this much in the industry. So good on Relogic.
No,
Claps.
but yeah, definitely claps all around. That's pretty sick. But you know what is also sick?
I already
This
know,
next
maybe.
topic that we even hinted at the beginning of the episode. That's
We
what's sick.
foreshadowed, as they say, in
Yeah,
storytelling.
see.
Yeah,
Let's
Rock Paper
go.
Shotgun wrote this one. One of my favorite names for a news outlet, by the way.
Is that this is the first time we've ever covered them, hasn't it?
I don't know, it might be. Yeah, I mean,
But
I've
it
heard about
says
them a
PC
lot, but
gaming since 1873.
yeah. I mean, dude, yeah, they've been around forever. Rock Paper Shotgun. I don't know if we've ever actually covered from them, but yeah, I've heard about them for a while. So yeah, we're talking about BattleBit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've heard about BattleBit. I'm sure you've heard about me playing it. You know, there's a lot of people out there playing this game. It's found quite the audience. But yeah, we want to talk about. We're 2 weeks removed from the release at this point, and the game has done well. And by well, I mean it's sold 1.8 million copies since its launch. Again, a lot of people, and I'll just read the article. They even describe it up front, right? Matt Jarvis wrote this, contributor over at Rock Paper Shotgun. BattleBit Remastered, the low poly, massively multiplayer shooter, perhaps best described as Battlefield by way of Roblox. I was just gonna say that it's Battlefield Roblox. That's the way I've
It
described
really
it.
is.
It's the way I've described it to everyone. It makes the most sense. And it sure shifted a lot of copies. It became a viral sensation a couple of weeks ago. BattleBit Remastered launched into early access on Steam on June 15th. It's quickly approaching 2 million sales in the two a bit weeks since, according to a recent interview by one of the coders, Sergeant Okidoki, legendary name by the way. Over on How to Market a Game, he did a little interview. Behind BattleBit's incredible figure of 1.8 million sales is the game's explosive success on Steam, which saw it rocket to too close to the top of the PC Marketplace bestseller chart soon after its launch, beaten only by the stalwart CS:GO. That comes alongside a whopping concurrent player count of 87,000 people, with more than 56,000 currently playing at the time of writing the story. Yeah, BattleBit's kind of crazy. There's a lot of players. But yeah, while those numbers look impressive, and they are impressive, Sergeant Okidoki offered a more sobering take on BattleBit's road to success, which revealed it is not quite the overnight success it seems. And so this is where the article for me took a turn, because I thought it was kind of like, oh, they made this in like a month, and here we go, they're pushing it out.
Apparently not.
Far from it. Far from it. So the game's 3-person dev team first announced it had it as a Steam greenlight title over 6 years ago. Yeah, I mean, this thing was been greenlit for 6 years. Running weekend playtests to help refine the layout of its maps and weapon balancing. Around 2018, 2019, the team decided to shift the game to a more arcade-like feel, feeling that its low-poly appearance gives players a false sense of its gameplay, which at that point was a more simulationist approach, like Arma. The interview notes that if players jumped too high, they could break their legs before needing to inject morphine to overcome the injury. Yeah, that's about as simulation-esque as it gets, you know. If the screenshots don't match the gameplay, then you have a problem, Sergeant Okidoki said. Our game played like Squad, but looked like Roblox, and that was a terrible move. That's probably not the best move if you're making some like hyper-realistic shooter and it looks like Roblox.
Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't make sense when you think about it that way.
Um,
It's like if I want to play a realistic shooter, I do go to Arma, or I'll go to.
right.
There's another one. I'll find the name as you continue on. But there's another shooter that's like hyper realistic. That's just like this.
I was thinking like DayZ, but it's like a zombie shooter. I don't know, Escape from Tarkov's kind of hyper realistic, but it's a extraction shooter. Anyways, by 2020, 4 years into development, the game saw 100 concurrent players for the first time, while still running weekend tests. It would take another 2 years for the game to start gathering real momentum, seeing its followers on Steam accelerate from single-digit thousands to over 50,000 by the end of 2022. By the time the game's launched rolled around in June 2023, it had reportedly been added to over 800,000 wishlists on Steam, setting the $15 title up for its current runaway popularity. Even so, it's clear that it took a lot of time and effort to get there, to the degree that even its creators wouldn't recommend using it as an example to follow for hopeful devs. Sergeant Okidoki said, "quote If you're planning to make a multiplayer game, don't. I'm not gonna lie, don't. Make a single player game if it's your first game. It is very trying. So I don't know. Overall, this article is very interesting to me, just for the fact that it's like, okay, it's I literally thought this was like, oh, we made this in a month. Here you go. I literally thought that's what it was because we've seen similar things. There's one YouTuber and the name's leaving my head. I can't think of his name, but he made Crab Game, which is like the Squid Game kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
ripoff, and he made Muck, which is kind of like a Minecraft kind of like very low poly style of game where it's like, but both of these games were like actually pretty decent, and like he made them in a month. It's like they were really quick spin ups. So I was like, maybe it's something like that. But yeah, this is far from it. And honestly, like it makes more sense now because now that I played the game, it really is like, I mean, it's fully thought out. Like I will say that, and it's very much
makes
like, yeah, it plays like a AAA title.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense when you now that they're like this article comes out and brings attention to how long it's actually been in development, it makes a lot of sense. It's like not an overnight success, although it looks that way.
Yeah,
You know, it's like when it was released and it caught on basically like wildfire and set off to do 1.8 million in sales. By the way, 15 times 1.8 million is like 27 million, which is
yeah,
freaking nuts in less than 2 weeks. So yeah, something to like pay attention to there. But yeah, it's not success that happened overnight. I think is really what this comes down to. And the like concurrent players and only being beaten out by CS:GO on Steam, that is like not a drag, you know?
yeah,
It's like not something to be taken like a peg down on them. It's like nobody's really gonna beat CS:GO unless they're Elden Ring or something like that,
yeah,
right? Like something
yeah.
insane, like a monumental cultural, like defying game. Um, but this is really cool. This is really cool insight. Back to
Yeah,
back articles with the devs basically being awesome.
yeah,
You know?
it's true.
Pretty cool.
Honestly, like before I even continue, I think Mike, it's I think at some point, dude, it'd be so sick to get some indie devs on just to talk to them about their games and stuff. So
Dude,
that'd be rad. Like we should just hit up
we
some indie
need
devs.
yeah, dude, side note, we absolutely need to go to Carolina Game Summit.
True, true.
I think there's like at the beginning of the year, we need to start doing that and like getting some cards and just be like, "Yo, come on to the pod for a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
we'd
2
love to
weeks.
talk about your
Let's
game.
talk."
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
come on here and just like shoot your game.
Listen, any indie devs out there listening right now, shoot us a DM. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly.
We'd love to talk about
Honestly.
your game. Um, but
Start
yeah,
playing it on stream and have a good time.
yeah, no, it'd be worth checking out. I'll just say it here: subscribe to the Patreon. You'll get into gaming content. You know what I'm saying? Okay,
We
well,
gotta
we'll
sign up
say
for
that. Yeah,
Patreon first.
but we don't have Patreon disclosure. Yeah, man, I think I just seeing how these games kind of like work, and I mean, like I said, you did the math, right? It's like 27 million roughly that these three guys are getting. Obviously
Yeah,
taxes and
just
everything will
shy.
take out of that, but I mean, it's gonna be around there. I mean, that's like, I mean, you play your cards right, you're set up for probably life, after that kind of money. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's awesome for them. It probably makes the last 6 years worth it of just like the grueling
Oh my
nights and
gosh, yeah.
just having to get this stuff right. And I mean, there are like I think it's like 127 v 127 like lobbies in this game that you can play. I mean, it's like insanely like large lobbies, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
some like smaller lobbies, of
The
course, but yeah.
256, I think. It's like insane.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's wild. And the benefit of low poly is like you don't have to. At least I would think. I'm not a developer, but I would think it's not as taxing to have that kind of server capacity when you have assets kind of like of this quality. I think it definitely plays to your
Yeah,
advantage, right? I think to a certain extent. I mean,
I
who
would
knows?
imagine so.
Battlefield has huge lobbies. I don't even know. Like 2042, what was like the largest lobby? Do you remember?
128.
128. What you
Yeah,
mean?
64 versus 64.
Yeah, I mean, that game was great, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Finally finished.
yeah, finally finished. Yeah, let's go.
Hooray.
But yeah, I think I don't know, it's cool seeing these stories, and I think this is because for me it's like, and we talk about this too of like June and July, like well, what's coming out these months, Mike? You know what I'm saying? Like the summer especially, it's like it's the dead months, dude. Like there's not much coming out, right?
Yeah, it's usually the dead months. It like it's an industry kind of thing, at least in the northern hemisphere being summer. people just going on vacation for like weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Everything kind of slows down a little bit in terms of that. Maybe even some gamers are like they have more reason to go outside
Yeah,
instead
it's
of
true.
like staying inside. I mean, some people just play all day, every day. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
always going to be those. But it's like I think there's always going to be a higher uptick in overall people gaming when the weather's bad outside and there's like no reason to go out or do anything.
It's true.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like what are we gonna do when we're locked in? Kind of like how the like COVID was, man.
Yeah.
Everybody was locked inside, and I was playing games I hadn't played in like 15 years. So like,
Yeah.
who knows what other people are doing?
Yeah.
Um,
It's true.
but yeah, this is a pretty awesome story, and I still haven't played it, unfortunately. It's downloaded on my Steam, ready to go though. So
Well, fortunately, Mike,
next
it's
time we talk
there.
on this podcast, I will tell you that I played it.
I feel like I should probably commit to a game too. You know what happened, Mike? I don't even know if you mentioned this last week. It might have been a week before. I didn't watch Detective Pikachu. I'm gonna be real with you. I never watched it, and mainly because it
Why are you
wasn't
trying
on
to make me
a.
mad?
It wasn't on a service I own, dude. I'm sorry. Like it was on like Hulu, bro. I ain't got that. I don't know what to tell you, bro. It wasn't on Disney Plus.
Come
Wasn't.
on,
You know
man.
what I'm saying?
Come on, man. You're a gamer. You know how to get it illegally. You know people. Just joking.
Dude, this man.
Kind of.
Oh, dude.
Kind of.
FBI,
But
FBI, open up. You know what I'm
oh
saying?
Jesus, please no.
Listen,
Ah,
bro.
man. Um. Yeah, it's a pretty cool week. Last news set of articles. We actually beat our hour metric that we tried to strive for. Mostly because this week has been slow because it's the 4th of July in the US. So all these developers are like, nah, we're not doing anything. Don't worry about it.
Peace. You know what I'm saying?
But
You know what comes out in 2 months? Starfield, baby. Let's go.
that's a fact, dude. Yeah, we covered this week's games, and really there wasn't that many going on either, man.
I just
And
want to
I was
say,
kind of bone dry when we were like calibrating the articles of this week.
listen,
So-
I will say, I did see an article for all the Game Pass people out there. GTA
oh
5 is
yeah.
back to Game Pass. I'm just saying. You know?
And this is the last day at the time of us recording. We record on Wednesday nights, because my schedule is kind of trash. But that's besides the point. If I can find this article real quick so I can source it. Yeah, PSA. This is from The Verge. Real quick, little bonus article for the crowd.
Shoot it.
PSA. It is Today is the last day to save on the Xbox Game Pass. So Microsoft's price hike on its monthly game subscription service kicks tomorrow. So starting tomorrow, the base price of Xbox Game Pass will be $10.99 a month instead of $9.99 a month. So try to take advantage of that while you can.
Yeah,
If you're
definitely,
interested.
dude. It's Game Pass, man. Playing as Dust Falls
Every
right
reason
now.
to take advantage of it.
Saying right now, there's so many good games. Outer Worlds is on there. Fantastic game. I wish they kept my save, but you know what? I don't hold grudges, so I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah,
They jump back in,
a lot of the games that I've been trying to beat are actually all on Game Pass, and I've been thinking about I gotta add it to my Xbox One so I can just be chilling in the living room. That's where I got the Xbox One when I'm trying to watch some HBO. Got that
True.
stuff synced up, bro.
Oh,
Had
dude.
Paramount Plus, but Halo was trash, so I didn't renew it.
Can you
It'd be like
actually?
that.
This is a good question. I can't remember. Could you play XCloud games on an Xbox One, like an OG Xbox One?
Yes, I have.
I need to
I
try
think.
that. Because
Pretty
if you
sure you
can,
can.
because if you can, I could have a use for my Xbox VCR edition that's sitting right here.
Yeah, do it.
I have to
You
try it.
said
I'll just look
VCR.
into it, honestly. But yeah,
VCR edition.
saying, bro, just how it is.
Yes, sir. All right, dude. Do we have any more articles for them? Should we close them out?
Yeah,
Because
I
I
actually
am
had
keen to start gaming.
look. I
Yeah.
actually had 5 more, so I better buckle up, Mike.
5 more? All right. Bathroom break?
Oh, dude, that was all articles I had, Mike. That was it. That's all I got this week.
Oh, cool. All right, man. Well, it's summer. Let's let the people go. If you're in the southern hemisphere, happy winter. Appreciate you guys listening in.
True.
Your shorts have been popping off. Not your shorts, but like your YouTube shorts.
Dude, I mean, yeah. What can I say? Thank you guys for watching the shorts, listening to them. If you came from there, if you came to our full on content from the
appreciate you
shorts,
for
let us
sure.
know. But
We
appreciate you guys
absolutely
watching.
appreciate the love and everything. I guess without further ado, let's close it out. Any of the articles that we've talked about, the links are in the description below. I got bit.ly links, bit.ly. They're just shortened URLs. Save to click, go for them. It's awesome. All the links directly to every single article or subject that we basically talked about are down there, along with our social media, along with Discord, along with what else, Kyle? I don't even know. YouTube.
TikTok.
YouTube is where you should be watching us. Go watch us on YouTube. Especially the people on Spotify video. YouTube.
Just go to YouTube, dude. Why are you here? You know what? Why don't you click out of this right now and go listen to a song? You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
I'm kidding. Watch our show. We love you.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, please. Please, God. All right. Without further ado, I'm Michael Anthony. This is Kyle Heath. This has been the M2 podcast. This is episode 26, bro. Let's go on. We'll see you on episode 27. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, weekend, night, day, wherever you are. See you later.
Happy Independence Day, USA. Woo!